the Quinn Marr Show.
My next guest is someone many people first saw in the Disney movie Prom. Not long after, he landed the role of Geordie on the Fox drama Red Band Society, the guitar-playing, sarcastic patient who somehow managed to be the coolest guy in the hospital. These days, he's taken a different route, trading scripts for songwriting and building a career as a country artist. From Disney movie screens to country music stages, it's a pretty interesting career pivot. It's my pleasure to welcome to the Quinn Marr Show, Nolan Andrew Sotillo. Nolan, how's it going?
What's up, man? How are you? Thanks for having me.
Dude, absolutely. I'm fired up to have you on. Just kind of start off. So I know you grew up in West Palm Beach, and as a kid in Canada that doesn't get summer all the time, that must have been unbelievable. I know you know no different, but like growing up in Florida, what was that like for you?
Very true that I don't know much different. No, it was awesome, man. I spent the majority of my childhood outside, to be quite honest. I think I grew up in that perfect era where like there was still, I didn't have a cell phone growing up. I was barefoot outside running around. One distinct memory I have of the same street, actually, my parents still own the same house, the same street before it was paved over. My brother playing street hockey, and I'm out there with a stick, just like, and I just have this picture of me and my brother being young, growing up down there. So it's hard to beat, and I think even more so now, I really cherish the home that I came from.
This must be like a cliche thing, or it might be a cliche thing. Were you like just always walking around like as a kid, like without shoes on in Florida? I feel like that's a Florida thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was walking around barefoot.
I'm not saying you're going to like the grocery store or school without shoes on, but just like in general, around your neighborhood and stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, absolutely. And I was getting, yelled at by my mom most likely because I'd come inside with splinters or stubbed toes and bleeding. It was like, put on shoes. Well, sorry, Mom. I'd have lizards on my ears before I had shoes on my feet.
That's unreal. You're like the kid from the Jungle Book with all the animals.
Dude, yeah. Have you seen that movie Hoot?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, like mullet fingers and stuff like that. So, there's definitely part of that.
I haven't seen that movie in forever. That's a great movie. So you mentioned about having a brother. Do you have any other siblings or just your brother?
Just my older brother. We got
Nice.
7.5 years between us, but we're super close. I think we didn't fight very much because of that age gap. So he's just someone that I look up to, and he's a solid, unbelievably smart and funny dude.
This might be a little much, but is there a possibility you might have been in an accident with that big of an age gap?
No, well, I believe there was meant to be one in between. I haven't been told that I was in an accident, but maybe they've just held that part of the story from me.
Right. They
thus
want to
far.
upset you.
Yeah.
What does your brother do anything like in entertainment like you do, or no?
No, he runs his own company. Dude, he's absolutely brilliant and incredibly hardworking. But on the complete other side, I do think he could have been a stand-up comedian though. Like his timing is impeccable.
Okay, and that's tough.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot. Like I know funny people, and like I'm not gonna say I'm like a comedic genius, but like I've been told I'm funny. But like I would never even try stand-up because I feel like I'm situational funny. Like if something's happening, I can kind of throw in like a little chirp or a one-liner in. But like I can't get up there and have a list of jokes and just rip them off.
No, I'm the same way. I'm definitely, I don't consider myself to be a funny person. That being said, I can come off the top with some funny things, especially like I started playing hockey a few years ago, and the chirps, you start to pick them up kind of as you go. And I was watching Shorzy and stuff, so
Oh, so you're probably you're getting into all like the Canadian hockey lingo then, eh?
Absolutely. Oh, I start talking in that voice all the time. It's kind of ridiculous.
Unbelievable. Did you watch Letterkenny too before Shorzy, or did you start with Shorzy?
I stumbled my way through Letterkenny kind of randomly. Dude, honestly, the way I discovered it, I don't even know what the guy's name is. But I was on a flight from here to Calgary. I was joining my friend for like a charity golf tournament up there. And I was on WestJet, and WestJet had a couple episodes of Shorzy, and I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like, I love the hockey community. And I spent like the golf tournament had a bunch of these ex-NHL players. So I was in when I saw that, and then I dove back into the Letterkenny thing.
That's so sick. No way. That's unreal.
Yeah.
Nice. So I just talked about your brother, but what did your parents do like career-wise? Again, anything to do with entertainment like you?
No. I mean, My dad is entertaining, I'll tell you that. But my mom's a CPA. My dad is got his accounting degree and also did he sold insurance and stuff. So no, fairly far from the entertainment thing. And to be quite honest, I think I probably could have had a path in that realm as well. Like probably, I'm really good with numbers. I could have followed in my mom's footsteps, but God bless her, she spends upwards of 16 hours a day, come tax season in the office, but she loves it, so at least that's what she says. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how she does it.
She has to say it to tell her trick herself.
Yeah, the cognitive dissonance would boggle her, I guess.
Exactly. So, okay, that's crazy then. If no one had anything to do with like entertainment, acting, music, etc., how do you get that, like, I guess, love or like passion for it at such a young age too?
Yeah, I honestly, looking back, I think I like to sing, right? So like from the youngest of ages, I knew all the lyrics to all the songs on the radio. I was singing harmonies. I had a really high voice back in the day, and then I think at some point it was just kind of like, oh, the school's doing a play, so I was like, I'm gonna go out for that. And then me and my best friend went out for it, and I got the lead. And then next year I didn't get the lead, and I was like, oh, I gotta start taking vocal lessons because I gotta up my game if I want to get the lead again. And then that one thing led to another. I wound up taking a short trip out to Los Angeles to do like some casting director thing, to be in like the acting world. In my head, I was young. I like loved Disney Channel. I love Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Yes.
I was like, I want to be like those guys. Like, I want to be on. It wasn't about necessarily the fame. It just it seemed like a cool life to live. Yeah. And I didn't necessarily realize all the things that come along with it. But as a younger kid, as a child, you kind of aspire to do that type of thing. And I was blessed with a family that was encouraging of that. And they said, hey, we'll give you 6 months, see what happens. And 5 months in, I booked Prom.
That's crazy. And I heard a story you told a long time ago about, I think it was like the second day you're in LA in that January of running into a celebrity. You want to tell that story?
Yeah. It's a blurry memory now, but where I lived in Toluca Lake, California, it was right on, I think it was the 134 or the 170. I sound like that Saturday Night Live sketch, but I walk over to the coffee diner with my dad. Don't know what the day of week it was, but it was the morning, and Billy Ray Cyrus is sitting there, and we're just like, he winds up just opening conversation with my dad and I watching the game, and like I know who he is, and I'm like, am I supposed to be freaking out? Like, I'm not one to go crazy, for the most part over meeting anybody, but in that scenario, I was just like, this is normal. Like, it seems regular. And I was 2 days in. Yeah.
I in the interview that I watched you talk about that story, you're like, I remember you said like, oh, like I'm going to meet celebrities all the time. And then you're like, I didn't see a single celebrity until I met.
No, exactly. Yeah. It was like, that was the only time I never saw him again either. Like, I would go to that spot all the time. It was right across from where I lived. Never saw him again. So it was just kind of random happenstance.
That's so weird. So you mentioned about like only 5-6 months in, then you get Prom, but before that, you're auditioning obviously throughout. Is it just commercials? Is it TV shows, movies, all the above? Because I know it's pilot season. So
yeah, so that was the goal. So I went out my freshman year, the second semester. I did virtual school because it was pilot season. So the name of the game was, you have to work. And not necessarily like book commercial work. It was like, you have to put in the groundwork. I'm trying to catch up to people my age. At the time I was 15 that had been doing it since they were maybe 9 or 10. And there's a lot of, practice and things you got to overcome. Like, I'm even kind of to this day, I'm still fairly shy in like public settings. Like, I'm not one to just randomly open conversation necessarily unless I'm in that type of mood. For that reason, like, my dad was like, well, hey, do some improv. Hey, do some, stand-up comedy. Like, I did stand-up comedy in Vegas at the Harris, like, and I bombed. Like, it was awful. But like I said, I'm not funny, but I mean, it was a matter of just kind of breaking out of that shell. Because, like I don't want to, I'm not necessarily saying it in a bad way, but the Broadway type kids or the Hollywood type kids, they're so open and in your face and willing to to communicate and go out on a limb in front of a casting director or whatever room, man, I'd walk in a room and I'd pretty much like cross my arms and be like, hey, what's up? I'm Nolan. Like, I'm here for whatever. So it just took a little while to break out of my shell. And I think I've definitely regressed back into it in certain ways. But trying to find that happy balance. And that's what the work was. It was, we'll take whatever commercial gig comes. We'll take whatever, audition comes, just because you're getting reps at the end of the day. We kind of looked at it the same way. Sports, man, like you go to the batting cages, you take swings, whatever it is, you're just going to try to outwork your opponent to set up yourself for success.
I want to go back really quick, because you just mentioned sports now, and you mentioned playing road hockey with your brother. Were you a big sports kid? Like, were you playing all the sports when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, no, whatever season it was, I was playing. And
nice.
I mean, it's as of late, it's funny man, Quinn, I just want to say thanks first of all for having me on, because it's fun to think back on stuff like this. Because, I'm 31 now, and I'm like, man, I should have been doing sports. Like, I'm still pretty good at sports. I'm like, did I miss out on something here? Like, could I still go pro? Definitely could.
I've seen your golf stuff on your Instagram, dude. You're a stick. You're pretty good. I'm
pretty good. I mentioned it to a buddy of mine, and he was like, I don't think you got what it takes. But I think he just doubted me. No, I played whatever sport it was, man. I played travel, just about everything. Baseball, basketball, tennis, golf, lacrosse, played football, got my clock cleaned, swam. I was the fastest kid typically in school, bar, save maybe one or two kids. So, just super athletic. Like I said, I was outside all the time, and I think it really did help mitigate the ADHD that I didn't know I had, that I've now discovered I've had for my entire life. Because being so busy, I was bouncing around all the time. It was from, if school season was basketball, I still had my year-round baseball travel practice afterwards. And then I'd come home, probably have a voice lesson, and then run my homework, fall asleep doing my homework, wake up the next day and get back to it. So
there's no chance you were a good student if you're doing all that. There's no way.
I hate to tell you, dude, 4.0 student right here, dude.
Oh my, wow, no way.
That's actually the reason my parents were willing to give me an opportunity to go to LA. They're like, look, you're advanced. Like, I tested in the 99.9 of all the standardized testings. And that's not, like, I didn't necessarily do anything to earn that. Like, it just happened to come easy to me. So for those of you who get upset by people claiming their abilities, but I don't know. I just succeeded in that realm too. And to that same point, I think it took me a while into my adulthood to accept the fact that I was good at things. Like, I feel bad, like, going and balling on people at the YMCA still to this day, so.
Just trying to exercise in for the week.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what I'm not good at anymore is video games. Like, I get wrecked all the time. Like, there's no casual gaming. I can't just hop on, like, play a couple games, maybe get a dub. No, I can't even win a game in NHL. Like, it's awful.
When I was a kid, I remember playing, like, obviously I'd play all the time, like COD or it was mainly COD or NHL, but a lot of COD. And I remember, like, just dummying, like, the 30-year-old that was playing, like, after he got off work or after he took care of his kids or whatever. Now I'm the old guy that sucks. I can't play the same way I did when I was a kid. I'm like, I'm that guy now.
I swear it's a different style of gameplay. Like,
True.
The games have evolved. It's just a different thing. But no, yeah, absolutely, I'm the old guy now. The only thing I can succeed at probably is, like, Rocket League. But I mean, even still, like, I'm like, I don't want to get on and be frustrated either. Like, I have an hour to chill. Like, I'd rather be working on my vocals than getting.
There's some nerds, dude, on Rocket League. There's some, like, greasy, like, players.
So I'm getting mogged. I get like invited to random party chats and people are chirping me the entire time. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for, guys. I don't even have a mic anymore. Like, I'm that guy.
I'm never on mic. I used to always be. Well, and the thing is, at least I think, you think voice chatting and stuff would be a little safer nowadays versus when we were kids, because people were ruthless when we were little.
Oh my gosh, dude. It was bad. I used to sing on the mic. I'd just be, like, singing while I was playing. I was that kid. They'd be like, wow, shut the hell up. Or, oh, you're pretty good. You want to be friends? I'm like, you're probably a weirdo, but sure.
So especially when you're kid and you had high voice, you're like, oh, perfect. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You mentioned about hockey and stuff, and, like, you're not that old. You're only 2 years older than me, but, like, going back to even when you're a kid, dude, like, how popular hockey has become in Florida is crazy. Obviously, Tampa doing well, and then same with the Panthers, I think has really helped. But even in that, like, let's say 15 to 16 year span, it's taken off like crazy.
Yeah, I remember like the first time I really started digging into hockey was probably 15 years ago. It was just about then. I think my brother would have still been in college, and he was like a big Caps fan for whatever. Like he liked Ovi. And I was like, sick, just like ripping clappers, I guess. And I didn't know what that was at the time. And then like I bought NHL that year, and then I was hooked. Like I was like, oh, this is sick. And I didn't play hockey until the story I tell is I was dating a girl, my late teens into my early 20s, and then when we broke up, I was devastated, heartbroken, but I had all this time and money on my hands, and I was like, I think I'll just buy all this gear and start playing pickup. I didn't know hardly how to skate, but I put a lot of time into it, and then COVID came around, and I was on my brother's old rollerblades, and I would just like skate backwards and like in an infinity loop over and over just to work on my crossovers and stuff. And now, I'm playing probably once or twice a week in just random beer leagues here in town.
Let's go. That's sick. Same with Nashville as well. Nashville's also gotten a much bigger hockey community since the Preds, obviously, since they came there, and then they were pretty good. Like, I think it was 2017 when they went to the Cup final. So, no, that's sick. It's always nice to see something like hockey growing.
Yeah, it's the best sport. I mean, I love the mental challenge of golf, and I would say like the physical challenge of tennis is pretty insane too. But I think hockey is far and away, the coolest one to watch and to play. And it's awesome to see it booming, and it's awesome to own it down here. USA, baby, #1.
Yeah, it's been a tough month as a hockey fan, Canadian hockey fan, and Leafs fan. I've not had a really good last month and a half. Yeah, it sucked. We're going back to our roots of Toronto being bad. So unfortunately, I'm used to this. In that Game 7 when they lost against the Bruins in 2013, I was in high school. I think I was in grade 12. I'm watching with my dad in the living room. I remember getting so mad. I ran to my room. And I just started punching my mattress as hard as I could because I was like, obviously, if I punch a wall, I'll probably get in trouble, but I can't hurt the mattress.
Yeah, the mattress, dude. And the mattress can't hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. It just bounces back and my own fist hits me. But no, going back or kind of going forward, I guess, to prom. Same thing. I heard you briefly tell a story about you getting the audition, you doing it. They had a screen test for you. They canceled it and then gave you the role or something like that. Can you maybe fix how I'm explaining that?
Holy smokes. I don't even know if I have a clear recollection of it, to be honest.
It's funny. The same interview, the Billy Ray Cyrus one story you came from was the same one as this one. It was before Prom had come out. I think it was Clever TV. It was you and then two women on another couch interviewing you.
I think I could picture that, dude. I don't know what I was wearing or how I had my hair cut or anything like that.
You had the beaver hair, dude. We all had it.
Man, I'm trying to think what would have happened back then. I think Marsha Ross was the casting director, and I remember some sort of screen test. I don't know if it was like a what do they call it? Like they're trying to see a chemistry test. I think maybe is what we had, and then I think maybe the screen test got canceled. But I don't really have a clear recollection of that.
So when you went to go do the audition, were you automatically doing Lucas, or was somebody else you were auditioning for?
As my memory serves me, yeah, it was straight for Lucas.
Okay.
I was pumped about it, man. I remember like loving the scenes that came up, and then when I saw who was attached to the role and it was Danielle, I was like, this is gonna be the easiest job of my life. And it's like I didn't have to act very much,
Dude, that's so funny you say that because I've told my wife this. Like ever since Starstruck, I had when I was a kid, I had the biggest crush on Danielle, and then I went and saw Prom. Obviously, I think it was literally like the next summer that Prom had come out, and then obviously I was jealous of you because you were playing opposite of her. But there's no way that I'm the only one in this interview that had a crush on her. You had to have, no?
Dude, yeah, I mean, and she knew about it too. I wasn't shy about telling her.
Oh, no way. Did she reject you or?
Oh, I mean, very politely, but very sweetly. Danielle's a great girl. She's married now, I think. We haven't talked in a few years, but we keep in touch every now and again. And, I'm rooting for her, and she's still having success. So I wish her the best.
Unreal. That's the most political way to put it. I love that.
Ooh.
We're around the same age, you and I. Did you watch Starstruck? You know that movie, right? From Disney
Oh
Channel?
yeah, no. When I moved to LA, I remember the quote that it never rains in LA. It nonstop rained for like a week. My dad and I were like, "What is going on?" I remember watching Starstruck with what's his name, Sterling
Sterling
Knight,
Knight, yes.
and Danielle. I was like, "That girl is a stunner."
Yeah.
And when I
You
put Prom, I was like,
manifested it, dude.
"Let's go, dude." I was so pumped.
That's unreal. One thing that really stood out to me, and at the time, and even now, rewatching the movie,
Yeah.
is that some of the actors, like including you guys were all playing pretty close to your actual ages. Was that something you noticed as well? I know you might have been like a year or two off, but it wasn't like you were 30 playing a 15-year-old.
Yeah, I think for me, I looked young. And Danielle, who was similar to my age, looked older. So she was able to bridge the gap between me and Devon. So I think that was an interest. Like whereas I was the underclassman that was at a slight disadvantage. I think that was kind of like the threading of the needle, pretty well. And I do think I'm getting mistaken for Thomas nowadays too. When I say I'm in prom, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're the guy." I'm like, "No, it's my hair now." Like I was the nerdy kid that like did not think he could get the girl. I'm like, I'm the dude in the tree throwing rocks. All right.
As your prom date leaves with, or as your the girl you have a crush on leaves to go to prom with someone else.
Yeah, I would see my brother from time to time, and he'd be like, "Don't go to prom," like all dramatically to me. It's like, come on, man.
That's so good, dude. I loved that movie. Such a good. It still holds up now, and it had some big people in it. Obviously, Danielle Cameron, who I think was right at the same time that Shameless came out.
Yeah, it was.
He must have been doing Shameless at the same time as the movie.
He
No?
was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you guys
Yeah,
know? Obviously, I know like there was the British version, but like it did not have the same popularity as the American one. So when he's doing this, is that no one's thinking like, "Oh my God, that show's gonna be so big."
Yeah, no, I think it was season 1. I'm pretty sure. Like they
Mhm.
didn't really know where it was going to be going. But from day one, like I had respect for Cameron. Like him and I hit it off, and like to this day, it's nice to still be in contact with some people. Not being in that world as much, but like to this day, I've got so much respect for him, and that show went crazy. Like anytime I would mention that I was in Prom, they'd be like, "Oh, with Cameron from Shameless." I'm like, "Yeah." Like they're like, "Oh, Ian." Like, "Yep, that's the man."
Yeah, it was cool because you guys obviously had filmed. I think it was like the summer of 2010, let's say, and then it came out in April of 2011. Shameless
Mhm.
came out in January of 2011. So like, what a year for Cameron. That's nuts.
Dude, that's a flipping jump start to a career if I've ever seen one, man. So
Seriously, now he's in all the Star Wars games, talking about video games.
yeah, man, that's sick. I
Yeah.
saw it. I was so pumped for him. And we're
Something that
coming
was
up.
cool about Prom, and it kind of reminds me of like the movies like Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve, etc., was like having all these different storylines and like some of them intertwining.
Mhm.
Especially for like I think like a kids movie. I don't think you really saw that very often for like a teenage movie. How often, I know you were kind of like your bubble of like your crew with Cameron, Danielle, etc. How often, if at all, did you ever get to talk to the other actors?
I don't think we had too many overlapping days. I think it was like 28 days total that the movie shot. I think I might have been on set like 10 of those.
Wow.
There was a couple scenes. I mean, dude, honestly, it went by in such a flash. I was reminiscing on this with my mom the last time I was home, and it's hard to remember it all. It goes by so fast, and everything is so brand new. At least like for me, it was my first time being on a set of that size. I think I'd been on one like professional set before that. That was for a random commercial. That was just like a background person in, and it's hard to stay present and to capture everything when you're also kind of feeling the pressure and wanting to do the best job you can, and like having like your insecurities and you're 15 and trying to figure it out. We had some days on set, I think, with like one of my favorite people in that cast is Nicholas Braun, dude. Speaking of funny people, ridiculous. Like one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. But I will say there was enough crossover. I think maybe we had like one with just about everybody.
Nice.
And and the cast came together pretty well. Like, I think despite maybe not having that many scenes with one another, um, it was nice just to kind of like be there. I think like I went to some the prom night. I think like I was there for just like while everybody was shooting, because why not? And it was a good way to spend time with everybody. So no, but like I said, man, it's hard to remember. It really does go by in a flash, and I struggle with being like present. The ADHD is always going, and I'm somewhere else half the time, or all the time. I'm half somewhere else all the time. So
I like that. I'm going to use that. I'm the exact
dude,
same way. I'm always thinking about the next thing. Like if I'm eating dinner, I'm thinking about what I'm doing later. If I'm going to bed, I'm thinking about the next day type thing.
yeah, and it's tough because then you don't get to, you don't feel like you're fully taking advantage of the moment. And at least I'm aware of that now, and I can be a little more intentional and, find ways to remain present or to find that presence. But, when you're 15 on a movie set for the first time and everything's brand new, it's like you can't open your eyes wide enough to take it all in. Aside from all the responsibilities that you're just discovering kind of as you go.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's funny you mentioned Nicholas Braun, Greg the Egg. Because then, yeah, like I said, like him. Then there was blanking on her name. She was in Austin and Alley. Her brother was Manny in Modern Family.
Oh, Rainy Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Like there was like a cool little collection of like Disney Channel people in that. Like I said, Danielle, Nicholas, Rainy Rodriguez. There's probably more, but like with Nick Braun, like he was in Minutemen, he was in Sky High. He had his little Disney run for a bit there too.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's unbelievable. I remember him very fondly, and I still see like random posts on Instagram and stuff he's doing. And actually, Janelle Ortiz, I can't remember her character's name. Go figure. But I randomly ran into her just outside of a coffee shop right down the street here in Nashville. She's like, "Oh, I'm married. I live just outside of town. We got to get together." She's got like a baby now and stuff. I'm like, I haven't seen you in 15 years. Like we're coming up on the 15-year anniversary of the release. It's like April 29th is my guess of the date, since 2011. So like we're gonna have to get together and reach out to everybody.
I always feel old, like on a regular basis, even though I'm 29, I'll be 30 next month. But you saying that movie's 15 years old is crazy. I remember seeing it in theaters with the girl I had a crush on, thinking like this movie's unbelievable. And I was in like, again, grade 9. That's crazy.
Let's go. That's so sick. I did a hometown movie premiere at our movie co, and it has since been torn down, but I've got a photo, I think, of like all these people that came out, and then we went into bowling and stuff. Like a couple of different girls I probably had like simultaneous crushes on. Like nothing changes, man. Time goes by, nothing changes.
So true. In a couple of the interviews that I watched of you back then, like during like the press tours with Danielle and Cameron, a lot of the interviewers would mention about like Prom turning into a franchise, there being sequels, etc. And it seemed like that was something that was going to happen. Was that in the works? And then all of a sudden, just didn't happen. I think 10 motorcycles just flew by my house because that was the loudest thing I ever heard.
I didn't hear a single one.
Okay, it sounded like a motorcycle gang of 50 just drove by. I'm glad you didn't hear it. But yeah, like, was there gonna be a prom too with you guys maybe being like the seniors going to prom?
I'm not sure what the storyline was meant to be. I know that there was definitely talks of additional movies. I think the movie did well and had success, maybe not quite to the degree that they were hoping. I think, they were maybe trying to recapture lightning in a bottle with a big cast in the way that High School Musical did. And again, it did well, but I don't think it was quite as big as they had anticipated. I mean, for me, I was just pumped to be a part of something that was, and it seems like it's kind of a cult classic at this point. But it's weird because in that world, if you do get another movie, or in the same way, like I can speak to like Red Band, like if you get another season, like so many things change, like with like your perception to the general public, with your perception within like the Hollywood industry, and like you get trampolined into so many other opportunities. But I've looking back, I'm like, man, it's probably better off. I enjoy doing music, and Prom 2 would have been sick, but I don't know what did. Dude, maybe we'll just recreate a prom too, and we'll just all be old.
I was just gonna say, like, imagine like if Disney came to you. This can be a generic sequel question. Disney comes to you tomorrow saying, "Hey, we're gonna do a prom 2. You're the High School Music teacher, ushering in new students at prom, whatever, etc. Grade 12. Everyone's in. Are you in?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
If
You go
everybody's
back
in,
to acting, eh?
yeah. I mean, I've got no reason not to go back to acting. I still have intentions on doing it. I just, at this point, it requires a lot of focus to do music. I think that's kind of, it's a respect thing too for the industry. I'm still trying to get off my, my ass in certain ways. Like, it constantly pushes you back. And, in the acting world, you just go to auditions, you hear no a whole bunch, and then ideally you find yourself in the right room that everything comes together. And in the music world, like, it's kind of the same thing, but until you're on tour and you're signed and that type of thing, it's like you just got to keep picking yourself back up and keep going for it. And like that type of determination and respect requires like your whole attention. But I'm absolutely like planning on rejoining the acting world. I'm working on creating a couple projects that I've had in mind for the last few years, and like now with AI, just like running different stuff through just like ideas. And I don't really want to write the entire script, but I want to be the creator of stuff.
No, I love that. That's sick. Something that I only found recently about prom that I didn't know as a kid, and I was a big YouTube kid, so I don't know how I didn't know this, was, I guess you're gonna call it a web series, because that's what they would have called it back then, called Corey and Lucas for the Win. So it was like,
my God.
to promote the movie, because it came out like early April or maybe March before the movie came out. It was like an 8-episode thing with like a bunch of big YouTubers at the time. Like, I think it was Michael Buckley from What the Buck, Shane Dawson, Annoying Orange,
Shane Dawson. Yeah.
Shay Carl, Lisa Nova. Like, I don't know how I never knew about this thing. So that must have been pretty cool, kind of using your character. It was kind of like a spin-off type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it was, wow, dude. The memories are flooding back. We've been talking about prom, and I have not even thought about the web series. That is wild. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. I have to go back and watch that.
I was watching it earlier.
Can you find it's online still?
Yeah, it's on the channel, the YouTube channel called The So What is the channel. But if you just type in Lucas or Corey and Lucas for the Win, it's there.
Oh man, that is incredible. Yeah, so yeah, I guess it was to help promote the thing, and the movie, and it was kind of the digital age was just starting to boom, right? Like, it was probably the first handful of years where YouTube creators were becoming, like prominent figures that could help promote, big feature films like that with, and people were spending a good chunk of budget to promote it that way. Yeah, and to meet people that I was watching regularly. Like, I was a YouTube kid too, man. I was posting my music videos and stuff on YouTube, so like I was spending plenty of time watching all these guys, like the Annoying Orange and Shane. And no, that was an awesome experience. But and dude, in the same way, in the same breath, it's gone like that. Like it's happening. You're on set, and then it's just poof. Like, I couldn't tell you where we shot that. I couldn't tell you. No idea.
That's hilarious. The next thing that I saw on your IMDb, and like, dude, forgive me, IMDb sometimes can be a mess, and I'm on that thing all the time, was you were in a show called Madison High. Before I go any further, is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
sure
perfect.
Yep.
So Madison High was, I found out recently, a High School Musical spinoff. So it was like 2010, 2011. And it was, I think, a pilot episode was filmed in 2011. Luke Benward was in it. The Allison Reed, who played Miss Darbus in High School Musical, was in it. And it was supposed to be like a comedy series about students building a theater program at a new school. Obviously, I know that show never even, you can't even find it anywhere. Like, it never got posted anywhere, whatever. What's your recollection of that show and like your involvement?
Yeah, I played one of the main characters, I guess, one of the main guys in the cast. Yeah, it was like Leah Lewis and Luke and Catherine McNamara, I believe, was in it. And yeah, it was supposed to be another like High School Musical, but TV series. It was High School Musical, the musical, the series before that was a thing. And I played, geez, I want to say, what the heck was Colby, I think was the name of my character.
Okay.
And he like loved manga, and like he drew like these comics, and he was like the superhero in his own world. And I remember I had to dye my hair on set. They'd spray it white and then they'd spray it blue, like for like the superhero like scenes that like Colby was like the man for. So I have no idea like how to watch it. I know there was a screening back when we first finished the pilot. I heard it went awesome. I don't know what I was doing. I have no idea. It must have been like home in Florida. I was like on a beach. I was like, enjoy the screening, guys. But
I'll be here.
I wish I could get a copy of that. I mean, I don't know if I really want to see it. Probably was dancing not that well, and singing and stuff. But that was something that I really enjoyed to do, man. I love going to dance, and I love, obviously I still love singing. Shoot, I dance on stage now too. It's just a slightly different style. I was just working on like this NSYNC. It's gonna be me, like all those dance moves and stuff. Like those are so sick. Like still to this day. Like even though I've pivoted more to the country world, I love that stuff, man. That showmanship,
Absolutely.
confidence on stage to be able to do that, and the multitasking, it's badass.
And I think honestly something like TikTok helps a lot too with like trends of different dances and stuff, because that's kind of, I don't want to say normalizes it because that's not the right word, but like I guess just more people do it type thing. I don't know. I just like I mean, it was more so maybe in the early 2020s, like during COVID and stuff, there was more of those trends, but I think that's become more of a thing lately.
Yeah, I mean, and it's easier and easier, I think, to make that type of content. It used to be, so hard to do a split. Like the new apps make it so easy to do stuff. Not that I've ever done a dancing video. I will say, this new world and that I'm trying to build, that's half in my head and half kind of like coming to life. I'm trying to figure out ways to really to solidify it. Is one that I want to be very honest, and a lot of the trend chasing stuff doesn't feel very honest to me. Perhaps there's a way that I can find my voice in that, but I think if I were to do like any dancing stuff, it would be probably like two-stepping or line dancing, and even still there might be some sarcasm. Yeah, some square dancing. I don't know how to square dance. I know how to step in a square though, so if that's what it is, I got it.
I love that. Last thing, quick thing on Madison High was you guys. So you only filmed one episode. That was it.
Yeah, just the pilot. Yeah.
Okay, true. And then you said you think that it did well and then kind of disappeared. But that's a weird thing that they kind of like, I guess, gave up on High School Musical type things until like whenever High School Musical, the musical series came out, which was I think early 2020s, maybe 2021, 2020. So that and that did well. That did good as well. So that's interesting that they never went any further with it.
Yeah, I'll say like it was this weird era where you obviously want to recreate something that's had so much success, but I think there's also like a little bit of audience fatigue too, where and if you don't do it the right way, it's hard to, like, a lot of times you get lucky, man. Like it's the same way with music. You can be sitting in the studio and you think you have a hit and it comes out and you're like, that came out flat. You don't necessarily know why. And sometimes a song that you love but you don't know necessarily how it's going to come out comes out better than you could have ever imagined. So with Madison High, I think it just we didn't get picked up, and that's just the way sometimes things go. And yeah, then the series, the musical, the series, whatever it is, blew up, yeah. And I'm sitting here looking at them like, damn, yeah, it could have been me.
15 or like 10 years earlier. Moving on to Red Band Society, and I'm being honest, this is not a show I had watched or was on my radar as a kid. Like I mentioned in the intro, you played Jordy, so it's about a group of teenagers who live together as patients in a hospital, and they have to learn how to deal with their illnesses, the experiences they have, and then the people they meet. And for your character, you're playing a teenager who has cancer and has to get his leg amputated. So obviously that's not a lighthearted topic for a show. So being young and playing a character like that in like the theme of a show like that, was that hard?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely moments where you don't like Nolan doesn't want to go there, but out of then respect for the people that are actually going through it, and respect for the show and everybody else and people that have chosen to include me in a show like that, it's like it doesn't matter what I want to do. Like you go work. Like you put in the emotional work, and I got to meet the guy who had originally written the script like about his own life. His name's Albert Espinosa, and that really helped ground me in that work. And again, it's about respecting what's in front of you.
And I was watching some episodes of it today, and it's too bad that it only went for, I think it was 13 episodes.
Yeah,
Was that so? That was just one season then?
yeah, that'd have just been the one season. I think they were looking at like a back nine, like picking up for the back half of a season, and for whatever reason it didn't go. I'm not sure if it was like actor budget or green screen stuff, or if it was just because we were doing pretty good in the target demographic and the Nielsen ratings, and I don't really know, man. I don't really get too much into those weeds.
No, it's fair. And that's interesting though, that like for a short amount of time that show was on, I see people like when I go on your lives on Instagram and stuff, people are still talking about that in your comments. So that's crazy
Yeah,
that in that small amount of episodes, you kind of left a lasting impression on people.
yeah, the show connected, man. There's no doubt, and I think like one of my favorite parts about it was getting to go and to meet kids that maybe weren't suffering from the same exact illness that we were representing, but just I don't know. I wasn't sheltered in a bad way, but like you don't see the real world, or when you get into those rooms and to those hospitals, like you see how honestly how blessed you are and how good you really have it, and all you want to do is like kind of pay some homage to them and try to represent it well, because it's also I think something that I really liked about my character in Red Band is that it wasn't a woe is me story. I think finding ways to play the hero through suffering or sufferable circumstances rather than playing like the victim, because it's less inspiring for the audience, man. Like you meet these young children going through ridiculous stuff that you could hardly imagine going through yourself, and they're champions. Like they're like, yeah, it's my circumstances, I'm gonna get through it, or I'm not gonna get through it, and they're like, it doesn't matter. So like bringing that into the role is something that was really important to me. And I'm sure I could go back and critique my performance and be like, oh, I should have been stronger here in this moment, or whatever. But
Hindsight's 2020. I could say that about my first podcast episode. I could say that like about anything. Hindsight's 2020. But I
I'm a
like that they had you guys go and like talk with kids like that had cancer and were living in hospitals like your characters were, because I think that you would know better than me, but I think that like really changes how you view your own character and how you kind of represent them on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think your knee-jerk reaction when you read a script like that is to play it from a place of like, oh, well, this sucks. And Jordy, he walks into the hospital. He's like, man, I wouldn't be here if my circumstances weren't crap. I'm counting on you to like help me make it better. Like you're the person I'm counting on. I know I'm gonna lose my leg, but I'm hoping that maybe you can help me keep the bottom part of my knee instead of having to cut above the knee. Like it's just finding the optimism there, and again, like first read, you're like, whoa, that's heavy. But then when you apply some context to it, and yeah, you meet those children, it's like, man, they're powering through it.
No, absolutely. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but after Red Band Society, I don't see anything else acting wise on your resume. So was that kind of where you called it quits, at least for at that point, and flipping over to music fully?
It wasn't directly after that. I spent a few more years out in LA, and I'd gotten close on a few projects. I won't mention any, by name, but there's a couple notable projects that I was super close on, like Second Choice and stuff. And then truthfully, like I was dating a girl back home, and I was like, you know what, like maybe I'm being told by God, like, hey, be steered in this direction, and go see what this has in store for you. And then we wound up breaking up a couple years later, and And I had since made some contacts here in the Nashville world, and music had already been like what I was striving to do. Like music was the first thing on my mind when I went to LA. It's just that acting was also there, and kind of the way that happens is like music you kind of do on your own time, and then you drop whatever you're doing when an acting audition comes up, and like you're in classes and classes, but like my free time was spent doing music and like, you know, the love for that game. And when I had the opportunity to then come to Nashville after her and I had broken up, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come here. You know, I think I still can play pretty young, so you know, when I was 23, I probably could have played like 18, 19. And I still think I've got, you know, some more left in the tank in that world. But no, there's nothing else on there. I just hung it up for a little bit and decided to dive into the music thing.
Now, before you were like just Nolan, the artist on his own, you were in a band called Invasion, correct?
I was, yeah. Yeah, I
So
was.
what did that band consist of, like music wise? Like what music did you guys play?
Holy smokes. Dude, that was like boy band pop stuff. We were like
Of course,
dancing, like, we
yeah,
played
it makes
Girl
sense.
Scout convention and stuff, dude. Ridiculous. Honestly, there were some great memories with those guys. It was John Lindahl, Kenton Duty, who's a Disney kid, Matthias Anderley, and Nick Dean, and myself were the 5 initial members. It was Invasion, and then it became what was like then known as like the boy band project, when they were like trying to get us to sign contracts, and I think John and I were a little hesitant to move forward, so we bailed, and then they had to find a couple new guys to come step in, and then they named it something else. And you know, at that point I was like, well, I'm leaving anyways, so like whatever, good luck to you guys. And you know, I was out. So
No, fair. I was looking. You mentioned earlier about how you used to post like your music on YouTube and stuff, and I was watching your old covers. Like back in the day, you're doing Bruno Mars, you're doing Justin Bieber, etc. And it's not even like, I swear, it's not even a chirp, but like your early music, like obviously the higher voice as a kid, I'm getting like hints of like Cody Simpson, Austin Mahone, obviously like Bieber type thing. So you're doing covers for a bit, and then I know like a few videos in, you then did an original. So what was your plan with YouTube? Was there a plan, or were you just kind of making music that you liked and threw it on there and kind of wiped your hands clean and moved on to the next?
yeah, I think it was just making stuff, man. I think I was really inspired by like Boyce Avenue. There's these guys out of Florida that were blowing up, and they were posting a lot of covers, and I probably like ripped off some of their arrangements and did it. And then as I kind of learned how to put that together, I started doing, you know, my own takes on songs. And dude, that was like pure love of the game, man. Like, and being a student too, you know, just to study and to work. And, you know, you can look at it as like promotion because it's a video and you want people to share it and you want to go viral or whatever it is. But that was never really like the end goal. It was just like, let's create to create. And yeah, I mean, even to this day, I'm still inspired by the pop world. And it was just like, I was just a different version of me 10 years ago that, you know, was doing what he loved, or even more than that, honestly, shoot, 15 years ago.
I was just gonna say it was around the prom time where those
Yeah,
videos at least were being posted. Now, was
yeah.
it somebody in your ear saying to post it, or you just were like, "Hey, no, I want to make a video, whatever. I'm gonna throw it on my friends and whoever can see it," type thing?
No, I didn't have it. I mean, it was me and my family pretty much. I mean,
Nice.
like my dad was happy to help, and dude, like him and I would film stuff in the living room of the 1 bedroom apartment that him and I were living in, and we'd like buy random lights at Home Depot and put these like brick things to get like fake brick looking wall backdrops. Like, dude, just doing it the old school hustle, grind away type of thing. And then I was editing stuff on iMovie. Like, so if I changed a tenth of a second on a part of the video way down the line, it wasn't like a timeline where it would like slide and shift. It would literally throw off the timing for the entire video. So I had to like go piece by piece by piece and put it all together because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I mean, looking back at those videos, it's awesome memories, and it like kind of, it's a cool way to archive your life almost and your growth as an artist. So yeah, man, there was there wasn't anybody in my ear like, oh, you got to post this for content or anything. It was just like, hey, we love music and we're gonna post music.
And that was the thing about YouTube in general. Like we talked about YouTubers earlier, but like originally in like I would say like the mid to early or mid to late 2000s, like the Dave Days, the What the Bucks, etc. They were just posting, and then like they weren't promoting. You know what I mean? They would just post it and walk away,
Yeah,
and then move on to the next. Like it is so different nowadays, dude. It's so cutthroat, and I'm sure you
yeah.
may feel the same way in some parts of the music industry. But like it just used to be so much more simpler. I sound like I'm 75 saying that, but it was.
No, it's true, man. You sound super old. I hate to break it to you. No,
I feel better knowing I'm younger than you when you say that anyway.
hey, I'm 100 years old then, if that's the
There you
case.
go. There you
No,
go.
I don't know. I think there was also less. There's something to be said about the cutthroat nature, and yeah, like I get that. But I think in order to break, because it's so saturated, like every little niche has become almost overly saturated. So then it requires so much of you that, like, if I just posted something and I didn't promote it afterwards, or I didn't like try to drive people towards the video, I'd be doing myself a disservice. Or a creator would be doing it's like, man, I just poured my heart into this. Back in the day, like, people are gonna find it. You have to put it right in front of them because it's so easy to consume stuff, and people are, you're on to the next thing so quickly. It's like you got to do that because you just poured your heart into something. Like I've gotten to the point sometimes where I'm like, I'm not going to spend any more time editing this because most people aren't going to see it. I'm overly being perfectionist about this, and probably people won't care as much as I care. Not in a bad way, but it's like I need to like give myself some relief from it too, because it's not going to be like the end all be all moment for me.
I'm the same way. Like I'll look at like I'm doing a thumbnail or whatever, and I'm like, oh, this piece, or like I need to add a glow behind this picture. I'm like, at the end of the day, Joe Blow from down the street's not gonna notice that I didn't put a glowing feature behind the one guy. So no, it's so true that like no one's gonna critique your stuff more than yourself. And that's for anything.
Yeah, no, that's spot on, and it's finding that balance though, because it does. I mean, I go back to like the respect thing, man. Like it does require like honest hard work, and in ways like the arts, it's not physical labor. A lot of times it's like sitting there and just like going over, like it's like you're messing with a slider, like saturation and contrast, and you're like, this, I'd rather be literally chopping wood, like, because I'd have like proof for it, and I'd be like, well, at least I have a fire. Where it's like,
Yeah.
I mess with the slider and I post it, I'm like, well, I hope people like the way I color graded this, but no one could give two shits. But
No.
if they came to my fire, they'd be warm. You know what I mean? So
That's
I
a
know
great that's a great way to look at it. I like
there's
that.
like there's less physical proof of it, but you also have to be willing to respect it enough that you are gonna do that work too. Like there is a version of that is still kind of getting your hands dirty, and then I can look at myself in the mirror with respect and be like, look, I'm putting in the work that's required of me, and I have full trust that it'll pay off in the long run. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm trusting that'll come to fruition.
Absolutely. Last couple of things here for you. So you mentioned about like obviously being like really big into like the pop with Invasion, with yourself, the songs you were creating or covering when you were a kid. Where does country music come into play for you?
Since I first rode around in my dad's truck, pretty much.
Okay.
The old Ford Excursion had a 6 CD changer, and there was the George Strait, like I think at the time he had 50 like greatest hits, like, and they're all like number ones. Like his greatest hits was all just number ones, which is ridiculous. And there was a double CD of Alan Jackson's greatest hits, and then a double CD of Jimmy Buffett. So from the time I was super young, and think about all the time I spent in the car driving to practices here and there that my parents, amazingly would sacrifice for me, I was listening to that non-stop. So country music was always a part of me, but then I think I also had this, like, I don't know, maybe I'm in the car with my mom and I'm listening to like pop music and like, so I always had an innate love for country music. And I also think that was me being steered away from the stuff that my brother was listening to. The age gap, he was in the heyday of like hip hop music. Like he had subs in his car when he was in hinted out Tahoe, like unbelievable. And my parents were like, "You're gonna go this direction," try to keep me out of that world. And I think there was like a love for that. And dude, I mean, I knew every line. I mean, I had all the George Strait stuff memorized, all the Alan Jackson stuff memorized, of course, Jimmy Buffett, and then like Rascal Flatts really like opened up like a whole new world for me. And it went from what sounded like, like the early Rascal Flatts stuff was like just a simple country band with harmonies, and it turned into this like arena country type thing, with all these unbelievable vocal arrangements and stuff that I really like. My ear was like on fire all the time with all that stuff. So it was really easy to then cross over into the country space, because I feel like I was just kind of like getting back to how I wanted to hear stories told. And I didn't know how to produce like pop stuff or EDM sounding, it's like style stuff. It was easy for me to sit down and strum a guitar and like tell my story. So
this might be a dumb question, but do you like naturally just put like a twang on your voice when you're singing?
man, at times, especially like, so when I first moved to town to Nashville, I spent quite a bit of time with some really country sounding folks, and we would drink quite a bit. So then the more I would drink, the more it would come out. And still to this day, like it comes out more and more. Certain songs I think like require turning it on just because it's funny. Sometimes I do it to like, I mean, I don't know, I'm like making fun of myself at times. And then other times it's like, I'm like, whoa, do I need to be singing like that? Like, but it comes out naturally. Like I'll sing covers, and like there's a line in a George Strait song, Check Yes or No, where it's like, last night I took her out in a white limousine. It's like you can't sing that line without doing that. Like if you say white limousine, it's not as cool as white. So
Yeah,
it's like stuff like that. And it's like it's just different influences, right? So like certain songs I'll sound like Justin Timberlake and sing like certain runs, and then other stuff it starts to just bend and get that accent a little more and more. So again, I think also coming to town, like full disclosure, I felt like I wasn't country enough in a lot of ways. Like I felt I grew up in a small town. It wasn't a one stop sign or one stoplight town. There was more than one home team in my hometown, but it felt small to me. And I don't know if that was just because the way I was, secluded and my parents looked after me, or if it was actually that. I didn't grow up on dirt roads, but I grew up on 2-lane roads, and there wasn't many people around. Like I knew my neighbors, I could knock on their door. So there was like this, like I felt very like insecure about like coming to town and not being like that. And I was like, well, I'm going to try to assimilate. Like if everybody talks a little more like this, and I'm going to turn it on a little bit more. And literally my roommate, the first 4 years, East Tennessee, like holler. So we'd be talking. I'd be like, oh my gosh. I'd go home. My mom would be like, why are you talking like that? I'm like, what do you mean? And then it kind of like goes away, and then it comes back. So, I think then you have like the guilt or like the shame of that too, where you're like, oh dude, well, I don't want to be like, I'm not trying to be fake. It's just like, I assimilate kind of wherever I go. I talk different on a basketball court than I do when I'm in church. So it's kind of like the same thing. I think this next kind of era is I'm doing my best to show up as myself, honestly, like authentically. And there very much is a part of me now that is like completely in love with Tennessee, completely in love with Texas, and still like a Florida boy at heart. So it's like, it's going to be this, hopefully like no state lines at all. It's just like all kind of blurred and crossed over.
That's sick.
I don't know what my voice will sound like.
Dude, accents is such a funny thing because like people obviously like when I have people on that aren't from Canada, will be like, oh, you have an accent, and obviously being around everyone else that talks like me, you're like, I was like, no, I don't. I don't sound any different. It really goes back, and I didn't even play hockey, but it goes back to like the Shoresy, like Letterkenny, like just kind of that. I don't even know what the word would be. Just has that little like. Just the terms, I guess, like with like the beauties, the mints, unreals, like I guess I don't know, but yeah, accents are a funny thing.
But when I talk to my buddies from Calgary, I'm like, oh yeah, bud, absolutely, man. Let's go. Yeah, we're going top shelf, eh? Oh yeah, bud. Come on. Like,
dude,
like
I don't
full
even
on doing
realize
that.
when I say A. I'll say A, like I probably said it 55 times in this conversation, not even noticing. But like,
I haven't
yeah, no,
noticed
it's
either.
funny. It's kind of like y'all, saying y'all when you're country type thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, y'all is
Um,
just natural.
no, yeah, absolutely. Last thing for you on the music thing, and then I got one last question. But 2026 for Nolan, what is that consisting of music wise? What is the goal? What are the plans?
Yeah, so 2020, 2025 kind of wrapped up in a weird way for me. I wanted to kind of collect myself moving into this new year because 2026 felt like an opportunity to show up. I feel like I had some clarity at the end of 2025, and it was going to take a lot of mental effort though to find that. You know, like clarity doesn't just naturally happen. It takes an investment of mental energy. So, you know, musically, I wanted to create a universe and like a world where I could show up and be all the little different versions of myself that are still just uniquely me, but without any shame, feeling like I'm like being somebody else. So it's like, I'm going to create a world where I get to be myself in all my little different ways. And that all of that is encompassing Nolan. So, you know, a lot of that starts obviously with picking the right songs and trying to find stuff that sonically sounds cohesive enough to all live together. But the truth of the matter is that some of my stuff is left field of what like you could look at two songs in my catalog and they'd be so far from one another, like Strangers Again and I don't know, like Run With You or She Did. Like it's two different styles of production, and trying to show up as like cohesion can almost be an inhibitor to production because you're like, oh, well, that's not perfectly consistent with what I've put out. So 2026 looks like me showing up with a platter that is me, and it's going to be a whole lot of everything. But at the end of the day, I can hang my hat on the fact that I'm showing up as myself, probably for the first time in my entire career, as honestly and authentically as possible.
I love that. I love that. It kind of goes like, oh, you don't like you talking about being yourself. You don't have to be the next George Strait or the next Luke Combs. You're gonna be the first Nolan type thing. I think that's the
Absolutely.
easiest way to look at it. It's like no one else can be you, so that you have an advantage, which is I think a nice way to look at it. Last thing I'm gonna ask you, ask this for every guest. What is the one thing you miss most about being a kid?
Mm. I'm sure there's a better answer that I could come to, but right now, I feel like the colors were more vibrant. Like the sun was more like yellow orange, the grass was more green, the blues were deeper, and that's something that I really love about going home. Like I live in Nashville, which I just recently found out we get more rain than Seattle. What I forgot I moved to London, like ridiculous. So, but
Vancouver.
when I go home, man, it's like it's so saturated, and I get to see the green and the blues. And dude, if I could sit and watch sunsets as a kid, like I wish I would have taken them in more. And it's also just being carefree, man. But I will say I think I do a pretty good job of living without too many burdens. I'm pretty carefree. I'm pretty easygoing. Try to be kind to everybody, and just in the way that you're a kid, like you don't know any different than to be kind to everybody you come across. So, but yeah, the colors just seem different. I don't know what's going on with that.
Dude, I've been doing this podcast for 2.5 years. I've never had that answer. That's a great answer. The colors, because it's so true. Like I'll see TikToks and be like, "Wow, the world just was like a better color when we were kids."
I don't know if that's like a subconscious thing too. Like I don't know if that's like a marker for depression or something, which I definitely don't have.
Maybe.
But but I don't know. Maybe it's just like we get used to the world that we're in, because like last night I watched this documentary on Jerry Lopez, the surfer, and like it looks so sick. Like he's in Bali. I'm like, if you go travel like the world slows down. There's something to be said about like the science of like being in a repetitive state where your mind's like, I've already seen this, like whatever. So like every day, it's not like it's dull, but it's just like every day is just another run of the mill type of day. Where they say if you go create like unique experiences, like go to a different bar, go to a different side of town, or go to a different country that you've never been to before or something, that I think that also can like, you know, re enhance your world, you know, bring that brilliance up a little bit.
I love that, dude. That's unbelievable. Well, Nolan, man, thank you so much. Over an hour chatting with you. This was unbelievable. I appreciate it so much. We'll have to get you some time, especially when Prom 2 comes out, because I'm now petitioning for that to happen. So, dude, thank you so much. This was unreal. Thank you.
Man, Quinn, thank you, brother. You're a beauty.
I appreciate it, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
All right. God bless.
And that was the Quinn Marr Show.